All right. Welcome to the Outlaw Radio Show. My name is Zach Adams, and I pastor a church located just outside of Athens, Georgia. The name of the church is Calvary 316. If you're local, come hang out with us one Sunday morning. Our service is at 10:30. If you're not local but looking for a good Bible teaching church, you can check out online. We stream our service, facebook.com/Calvary316, or we stream on our YouTube channel, which is Calvary316.live. I am joined, as always, by the man that needs no introduction, Pope Creighton Vaughn. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Hello, everyone out there. Welcome to Outlaw Radio. What are we talking about tonight?
We're also joined in studio.
You want to do him first?
Let's just get him in before he starts talking over everybody. We got Spice Daddy in the house.
What's up, my little pepper poppers? My name is Justin Spice Daddy Holcomb, and I have good genes.
I see what you did there. I
hate wearing jeans, but
yeah. But I still see what you did there.
I feel like what you're talking about isn't about jeans at all.
No. So tonight I'm going to be talking about tattoos. What does the Bible have to say about tattoos? Is it okay for Christians to have tattoos? I don't have any of them, but at the same time, it is kind of a cultural phenomenon. And
I have a bunch.
I know you do, and I thought it would be fun to just wade into a little controversy and talk about tattoos tonight. So before we do that, I do want to say, he brought up the jeans. You kind of went on a rant right before we, and I'm going to poke you a little for the rant.
Okay, so here's the deal. There's this controversy right now about Sydney Sweeney, who is a TV movie star.
She's an actress, yeah.
Actress.
Conservative
she did
actress.
American Eagle ad about jeans, like blue cotton jeans.
Denim jeans.
Right. And the tagline...
For American Eagle.
Right. And the tagline is, I have good jeans, which is clearly a reference to the fact that she is very attractive.
Yes.
And all the whatevers. And a bunch of people...
And all the whatevers, what is that?
Yeah, the whatevers. Everyone knows exactly what I mean by the whatevers.
If you're listening on the podcast, there were hand motions.
There was
associated
a hand motion
with the whatevers.
At any rate, the thing is that the tagline is, I have good genes. Clearly a reference to the fact that she is wearing jeans for the company that is putting on the ad, and that she has
good genetics
because she's attractive. There are people on the left who are all up in arms about how this is pro-Nazi propaganda, that this is a eugenics, whatever. And I saw it, and a part of me just revolted because eugenics is a thing, and it has two main parts. Number one, selective breeding. You get the people you want to pass their genes down to have babies. And number two, culling the undesirables in your population so that they cannot pass down their genetics. If there's one side of people in America who are culling undesirables, it's the abortionists who, if you ask them, will literally say that you should be able to kill a baby if it is undesired. They'll say unwanted, but undesired. They're the eugenicists. Literally, Planned Parenthood was started by an actual eugenicist.
Margaret Sanger,
who was literally trying to cull the African-American population in America. That was the point of Planned Parenthood. I am so upset that the left gets to throw around the word eugenics. Oh my gosh, we're the ones that are hey, we shouldn't be able to kill babies for reasons. And they're, American Eagle is eugenics. No. Planned Parenthood is eugenics. And this upset me a great deal.
Great.
Rant over.
Yeah, that was awesome. So we
rant went way harder than I was expecting.
No, I was expecting that.
So mad.
Pope C, this is a bird is crawl.
So mad. Yeah, they're throwing around the word eugenics. They're the ones who are trying to cult. Okay.
Yeah, anyway, we got
Did you know that in New York, between 2012 and 2016, this is the numbers I got from the Washington Journal, because New York doesn't publish their abortion numbers very often, so you can't get new ones, but I doubt it's changed. Between 2012 and 2016, New York aborted 128,000 black pregnancies. Do you know how many live black births there were?
Less than that.
116,000. New York killed half a generation of black people.
We know it.
And nobody talks about it. If somebody in our country, if somebody came into our country and killed half a generation of anything, we would go to war.
And good news.
I'm so upset about this. It's unreal.
In Louisiana, Planned Parenthood is now shutting down all their clinics.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, because it had been said forever that you can't defund this, blah 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 blah, and and also I heard from some of my Christian friends, you can't trust Donald Trump, when it comes to abortion. He used to be pro-choice. The dude got Roe versus Wade overturned, and he passed legislation. Yes, there was quite a bit of spending in it, but it for the first time it revoked funding for Planned Parenthood. And so, you can say whatever you want to about Trump, but he is the most pro-life president we've ever had.
Absolutely.
Hands down. It's the truth.
He's got good genes. Some say the best genes ever.
Well, so we're missing Dear Daddy tonight. He's on the road. It's got work has called him. And so it's just the three of us. We're also going to have, if time permits, we're going to have a pepper popper. We're going to start a whole new series, right? You want to give it a little tease for what we're going to be doing?
No, they can wait for it.
You're just going to have to wait for it. And then, so this will be the second edition, hopefully we get to it towards the end, of what we're calling IFS with Pope C. And that is intersecting faith and science.
Yes.
IFS. And so you've got something prepared as well.
Yes, we're going to be talking about Darwin and the origin of species.
Very cool. So, all right, we got a lot of things we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be talking about tattoos and all this kind of fun stuff. We've got teaser, some pepper poppers, a whole new top 10 series going to be unveiled.
I think it's going to...
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
Something that I don't think I've ever seen out of any social media
whole new thing.
Platform. Yeah.
Whole new thing. And then we've got an IFS. Before I get to tattoos... we did get a shout out. So last week you reviewed a book, and we got a shout out from the author online. You want to just share a little bit about that? Say thanks, baby.
Oh yeah, thank you to Lee Steven and his social media. He said he really enjoyed our show and really enjoyed our review because it was kind of a group effort review. There,
I liked and followed. He followed me. This is a cross pollination.
I was not lying. Like I wouldn't just it wasn't like paid advertisement thing. I really enjoyed the books. So
yes,
give him a follow. Read his books. Lee Steven.
If there's one thing that I know about you, Justin, is that you can't be bought.
I can't.
No, you don't care enough to be bought.
That is correct.
Yeah. So when he says that he really likes something, he really likes it.
I do want to jump in there on that point because that needs to be said. We've promoted these books. We don't know him. We are not connected to him. This was literally a random email based off of a series of small videos that Spice Daddy did, and we genuinely like the books. Think he's a cool guy. There's no kickbacks. The only thing we've gotten is just 2 copies. We got 1 copy of the 2 books. That's it. So there's no like we're not promoting somebody. Same with the hot sauce. We're not getting any promotions from the hot sauce.
I just like hot sauce.
Well, this show is the epitome of no profit.
American Eagle gave us no money.
American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney's not going to be on the show. I hate to break it down.
Well, don't say that.
Don't say never.
Don't say never.
Creighton, tell everybody how the show, the other nonprofit that is bringing the show today.
Yes, so Outlaw Radio is brought to you by Get Fed Today, which is a podcast that we produce. It is a podcast where we upload 5 Bible studies every Monday morning from different pastors. We actually, just before this episode, recorded some more intros so we can expand the library of pastors that we are adding to the catalog. I think our current number is 650 Bible studies. So if you want to get into the Word, you don't really know where to start, or you want to listen to a few different pastors regularly but don't want to subscribe to 15 different podcasts, check out Get Fed Today. It's really cool. It's 5 Bible studies a week, different pastors, different subjects. If you don't know where to start in terms of getting into the Bible,
roulette, just pick one.
Scroll up, click one, listen to that Bible study. It's going to be a good one.
Or start with James Chapman.
James Chapman is a great one to start with.
Absolutely.
Because James is the best.
And we're the only podcast I know that has James Chapman teaching audio on.
You know what? And
I believe that's the case.
We might be running out of James Chapman Bible studies to put up there. We put a lot of them up there so far. Might have to see if we can find some old cassettes.
Some old cassette tapes. No, right on. So we're going to approach this topic of tattoos a few different ways. We're going to get into some scripture a little bit later in the show. We're going to talk about some of the history of tattooing. I want to start by just I kind of went real deep today and just doing some research, and this was really kind of so I taught a release time Bible class for years and years and years at a public high school. So I taught the Bible to a bunch of pagan high school kids, and literally they were, most of them, vast majority of them, not churched at all. I always, every year, got a question about tattoos. Always a question. And then over the years, that just became, I saw more and more kids with tattoos, like high school kids with tattoos, which was like this weird cultural phenomenon. And then we were hanging out with a good friend of ours, and he asked me about tattoos. This was the first time in years I had been, the topic had been brought up, and I thought, you know what, this would be a fun topic for the show. It's laid back. I want to ask you guys a question, just out of curiosity, because I was not sure where this would land. Okay, what is the percentage of Americans, and I'm keeping this to America, okay, so like you could go globally, totally different thing, because you're getting into Polynesian culture, Asian culture. We're just sticking with American culture. In America, what percentage of Americans have at least one tattoo?
I'd say 60 to 70%.
I would guess probably half, 50%, maybe higher.
Interesting. It's 46%.
Oh,
Yeah.
How many
I'm hanging out in the wrong crowds then.
How many Americans have more than one tattoo? Or let's say 2 or 3 tattoos.
2 or 3, not higher?
Correct. So 46% of Americans have a tattoo. One. What percentage then have 2 or 3?
Like 20%.
I'd say 40%.
30.
Yeah, because the thing you get into is that when you get a tattoo, you are going to get more. Getting one tattoo is like eating a Lay's potato chip.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And then what percentage have 4 or more?
20,
I would say probably 20.
Yeah, 19%.
Yeah.
Do you know, this blew my mind. There's like 20,000 tattoo shops across America. Do you know there is a new tattoo shop that opens every day in America?
Really?
Every single day one opens in America. The annual revenue off tattooing in America, this is just America, is $2.3 billion.
How many close down every year?
Oh, I had no idea.
Because that would be interesting to me. Because I've
Probably
seen some,
at least one.
I've seen some
Justin
really.
wants a burn down chart. He wants to know the attrition rate.
Well, just because I've seen good tattoos and I've seen some really bad tattoos.
That is absolutely true.
Not everybody that thinks they can tattoo and thinks they're an artist, that those businesses obviously aren't going to survive.
I'm convinced that tattoo parlors exist because an art degree is expensive with no ability to make money. Like,
so are anthropology and archaeology degrees.
Yeah,
for sure.
You need to figure out a way to turn that anthropology, archaeology degree into something that you can sell.
I'm pretty good.
Spice Daddy Digs.
I am
the new
pretty
segment.
Digs.
Listen, I'm seeing an intersection here. I'm really good with a trowel, and oftentimes we sharpen our trowels. I'm going to start tattooing people with a trowel.
With a trowel. That's
the craziest thing I've ever heard.
You work on that.
That's
Okay,
why it's going to work.
Here's the next fun question. This is for the audience too. Of Americans, do more women or men get tattooed?
I'm going to say women.
I would probably say men.
It is women.
Butterflies.
Listen to this: 38% to 27%. Like it's like a
Really?
10-point swing that more women get tattoos.
What's the average tattoo that a woman gets? Is it butterflies?
I did not get to that.
I bet it's butterflies.
My guess is that it's either butterflies, birds, or loved ones' names.
Something up to that effect. Okay, now that 38% number for women, 18 to 29-year-olds. How many? Like, what percentage of 18 to 29-year-olds do you think have at least one tattoo?
Oh, that's got to be close to 50%.
I'm saying 35.
56%.
Yep. Dude.
Okay, what percentage of American women, 30 to 49, have at least one tattoo?
Ooh, that's going to drop down to like 35.
No, I bet it's going to increase. The 80s and 90s are rough times.
I mean, you're not wrong.
53%. It's a 3% difference. It's just a 3% difference.
My goodness.
Generationally. So I'm not going to have you guys guess because this would be impossible. So millennials, 58% have a tattoo. Gen X, 38%. boomers 22%, 65 and older 13%. So like we have seen this generational change in not just tattoos, but like there's a whole different bunch of research about like perception of tattoos, cultural acceptance. Like I remember growing up, like my dad telling me, if you get tattoos, you're gonna work at Publix from 12 a.m. to like 12 midnight to the 4 a.m. shift because that's the only job that's gonna give you. You know,
now
like,
there's mega church pastors with tattoos all the time.
you got CEOs with tattoos. Like it's like the perception from culture of tattoos has radically changed.
I'm thinking of a way that
generationally.
we increase the people that come to Calvary 316. We make Zach get sleeves.
That's not going to happen.
Dude, the idea of Zach with sleeves is so funny. There's not a chance in the
We
world.
could try it out for a little bit. They make the temporary ones. We could eat
You
a lot
get
of
like a bunch of henna,
Like
tattoos
one of
all the way
we'll
up.
just eat-
One of those baseball sleeves.
We'll
that's
chew
like
a bunch of
spandex-y.
that. We'll chew a bunch of that zebra rainbow gum that have the tattoos on it.
All right, now this is I avoided. If you'd like to research something interesting, you can research percentages of tattoos on ethnicity. We're not going to get into that, and you can also research it on sexual preference. Also interesting, we're not going to get into.
Wait, now I want to know
Oh, yeah,
what
that's
the
a tease.
ethnicities. I want to know that so bad.
You can totally do that on your own. And
Is it
let's just
higher in black
let's
people
just say
or-
lesbians have a lot of tattoos.
Oh, yeah, I could have guessed that one.
Low income Americans, 43%. Middle income, 31%. High income, 21%. Like there's a direct correlation between your income level and the amount of people with tattoos. No degree, 37%. Bachelor's degree, 24%. Postgraduate degree, 21%. Also rolls along educational lines.
Dude, I'm breaking all these statistics
I know you are. So
in a good way, not bad. Well, not
So-
good or bad.
let me give you just research reasons that people give for why they got tattoos, and we're gonna unpack all this in much more detail. We're gonna get to some scripture. We got a lot of things we're gonna do to tonight's episode, but just kind of to whet your appetite. Reasons. So 69% of people that get tattoos cite remembering someone or something. So it's like a memorial tattoo, which makes sense. From, like our buddy that's got like a lighthouse tattoo. Mm-hmm. He's got that because him and his grandfather loved lighthouses, and when his grandfather passed, he got the tattoo. It was a thing. People will put. We've got another good friend on her shoulder. Have you seen Rebecca's tattoo? Where she's got the maybe it's her arm or shoulder, where she's got all of her dogs.
oh
the
yeah,
silhouette.
yeah, it's on her. I think it's on her bicep.
It's but she's got but again, that's like that fits into this category. It's a tattoo because it's got like it's
right. I mean,
it's a
I
memorial.
have a bunch of tattoos. I have the TLB on my arm for the time of my life when I was a lost boy, and it was a very important time in my life.
So it's a remembering thing. 47% cite expressing a belief, which is kind of like a vague category, but it's like, people will get like religious symbols. That's, that the idea of a religious symbol. Did we get comments? Or we got a comment? I saw you laugh over there.
Yes. We got from Bob. He says, "I'll give Zach $1 if he gets sleeves," and then right under that he said $2 final offer.
No. I have no tattoos at all. I've got plenty of scars that are my own tattoos. but-
Also, Ryan says, as someone who has sleeves, I strongly disagree with Zach getting tattoos.
Hey, I would be interested. Hey, we're going to get into some Greek Orthodoxy too, Brian, so buckle up. We'll get there. Lastly, 32%, and this actually blew my mind. 32% of people that get tattoos, which is a big number, cite that they got the tattoo to improve their appearance. So that's like the pure artistic thing.
Okay, so you said improve their appearance. I was thinking
that's how
like
the
getting
stats-
makeup tattoo but no, you just mean that they want it to
Art.
as an artistic piece to
Yeah.
add to their
Teardrops.
yeah.
Or
See,
like
that's what I was thinking.
or
Is that what you mean?
Or I'm the bass player of Rage Against the Machine, I have like a solid black thing, like
Right. Yeah.
Which, by the way, Machine Gun Kelly, who's another like he's blacked out his tattoos now.
So has
because of it's a thing.
So is the lead singer of a band that I really like. His name is Ronnie Radke. He's blacked out from like here to his wrist. It's crazy.
There's another gal, I forget her name. She was kind of a scandalous person, but got saved.
Oh yeah, she was a Satanist or witch.
Yeah,
or something
and
like
she
that.
got all black. Catherine Vaughn, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm pulling.
Kat Von D?
Yes.
I did not know
She was
Kat
a
Von D.
tattooist.
She
She
was
was
a
in-
tattoo
yeah.
artist. She was on.
Radical.
I did not know she got saved.
Full blacked out.
I
Radically
remember her.
changed.
She had a TV show on MTV or VH1 or
She's
something.
been
about
radically
tattooing.
saved.
I had no idea that happened. Good for her.
So again, culturally, like tattoos is a big thing. I would say generally in America, like there's not much stigma related anymore to tattoos. I do think maybe you'll see trends change because trends go up and down. You do see a rise in investments to companies that specialize in tattoo removal, because people are now like, oh, I kind of regret getting these things. And
That's part of the reason why I've never gotten a tattoo, because I'm a fatty, and I didn't want to get for example, like a tattoo of like a bird and it becomes Big Bird over time. Or something like that,
They do stretch.
They stretch, and
yeah, you don't want to get like a smiley face and then lose a bunch of weight and it's a frowny face.
yes, exactly.
Right. You don't want to like go on a Ozempic and like your smile turned upside down.
Right.
Yeah. It's a sad face.
It's a sad face.
That'd be an awesome tattoo, by the way.
I know. I'm now thinking about
Yeah,
it.
I know. So, all right, we're going to pause on this thought. We're going to try something a little bit tonight. So, we're going to get to the history of tattoos. We're going to set up some of that stuff. We're going to then get to the scripture and what the Bible has to say, leave some parting thoughts. But we're going to transition to our next round of Pepper Poppers. So Spice Daddy's been doing a segment called Pepper Poppers. We're launching a whole new one. So I'm going to get out of the way and you take it.
What's up, my little Pepper Poppers? Now for another countdown of my top 10s. All right, we're going to start out at number 10. This is a top 10 favorite missionaries of mine. Bet you never thought you'd see
Missionaries!
that.
Woo!
Missionaries. Yeah, I don't think... I think we always talk about missionaries, and I've talked about it a little bit in the past, how everybody wants to know a missionary.
By the way, can I be your hype man for this?
Oh,
can
yes,
I be like...
100%.
Okay.
100%. You're going to have to drink some hot sauce, though.
No, it's not happening.
Okay.
I got to talk.
So I'm going to start out
Missionaries!
start out number 10.
Number 10!
This might work better than the hot
I know.
sauce.
Number 10!
So let's get it started in the right way.
Top 10, top 10.
Not too spicy, but good old fashioned. Just some Louisiana hot sauce. It's good on just about everything. Not too spicy, good flavor. This is where we're starting.
So wait, I need to ask for the audience just for some context. So we're going to do 10, 9, 8. That's your... that has a certain hot sauce qualification.
Right.
And then as we get to 1, they get spicier or just better?
Oh, they're getting spicier and better.
Okay. Spicier.
Because spicier is better.
Yeah.
Okay. Spice Daddy. This is Spice Daddy.
That's right. My number 10, good solid base foundation of the movement, the Apostles.
Number 10, the Apostles!
And the Apostles, a lot of us think, oh yeah, you probably thought I was going to put them at number 1. The Apostles mean a lot.
They're not number 1!
They mean a lot to the faith. But, you can only get so close to somebody's history and only know a little bit about them.
I mean, of everyone in this list, they were friends with Judas.
This is true.
Drops them to 10.
But as we'll find out in some of these people, they made some bad decisions. But let's proceed. So the Apostles, just kind of want to go through some of them. And I'm not going to so much focus on their ministries there, but I kind of want to just kind of delve into where they went and
how they died.
And maybe how they died. But more than likely, I want to say more focus on how far out they went.
Okay.
Because a lot of these will kind of surprise a lot of people, I think. You had Asia Minor, so like Turkey, or let's start out in Judea and Samaria. So obviously Peter, John, Philip, James, Thaddeus, and Matthias or Matthew
Stayed close to home.
stayed close to home, Judea and Samaria. Asia Minor, which would be like Turkey and that area.
The Ottoman Empire.
Ottoman Empire, you had Peter, Andrew, John, Bartholomew. Greece, Andrew made it all the way. And this is where it really starts getting interesting. India. There, Thomas, possibly Bartholomew, made it all the way to India.
To India.
And you got to understand, as an archaeologist, we're always finding the Silk Road and the trade between these countries. These weren't some far off, necessarily just out in the boonies. They were well known.
There's an entire Christian community
Yes.
in India today that still claims to be descendants. Of
so a lot
Thomas.
of if you ever meet an Indian and they have a name that's more like anglicized or something that doesn't sound Indian, that they come from that Christian region.
They have
a history
there's
of
the
it.
tomb of Thomas, I think.
That's correct.
That's a whole community of doubters, though.
Which leads me to.
Did you get that? Did you?
Yeah.
Did you get it? Okay. Yeah.
Armenia, you have Bartholomew and Thaddeus. Persia, you had Thomas, Matthew, Simon, Thaddeus. Thaddeus got around.
I mean, if your name's Thaddeus.
That's true. Ethiopia, Matthew, possibly Matthias, and Simon. Here's one you don't really think about. Spain. James had there's a long tradition in Spain that James, son of Zebedee, per later tradition, he went to Spain. And then Peter, obviously in Rome. Scythia, which is like Ukraine and that area. You have Andrew, and then Egypt and North Africa, Simon, and then possibly James. And there are some... it's not verifiable, but there are some theories.
Traditions.
There's
church
traditions and theories that one of them made it possibly all the way to England.
So, number 10 is we have the apostles, meaning that they took Jesus' commission to take the gospel into the world very seriously.
That's right.
Let me just, and this was my role in this whole deal. If you'd like to learn more about the apostles and where they went, what they did, I want to give you two good books that you can find easily on Amazon. Like, the standard for this stuff is a book that was actually published in 1563 by John Foxe. It's called Foxe's Book of Martyrs. There's been many revisions and updates for the language, but Foxe's Book of Martyrs is like, it's kind of the baseline for study on the apostles, like the early church fathers, what they did, where they went, how they died. All these guys were martyred for their faith, in sometimes brutal ways. And then if you're looking for like a more updated book to learn about the apostles and their missionary endeavors, Sean McDowell, 2015, who's a Christian apologist, he wrote the book. It's lengthy. It's called The Fate of the Apostles, Examining the Martyrdom, Accounts of the Closest Followers of Jesus. And so those are the two books that if you'd like to learn more about number 10, the apostles, you can do so. Moving on.
Bringing it back home to my home state of Georgia, someone that had a big influence that a lot of us don't think about.
Next, Papa!
That would be George Whitefield. George Whitefield had a controversial history.
Like most of Georgia!
That's true. For those of you that are not from America or don't know anything about the southern United States, Georgia, pre-revolution, was originally established as a prison colony.
Penal colony.
Yep.
Oglethorpe.
So that's why we have so much in common with the Australians.
That's true.
We're crazy rednecks that like to barbecue.
Yep.
Anyway.
Most of us have been in jail.
Right. So George Whitefield got to be friends with John Wesley and his brother.
Chuck.
Charles. Yep.
Chuck Wesley.
They were big characters within the First Great Awakening, which happened pre-Revolutionary War. So this is a time when we were still a colony. And so George Whitefield, he was an actor in England, did a lot of plays and stuff like that. His father died and he became a Christian, started hanging out with the Wesleys. And then they invited him to the U.S. to start preaching. And so he spent a significant amount of time in Savannah between 1738 and 1765. He established an orphanage and some other places, but I mean, he preached A lot of churches wouldn't let him preach, which I found very interesting. So he'd preach on courthouse steps and stuff like that.
Outdoors.
Yeah. And he would draw in thousands.
And people could hear him. That was the amazing thing.
People would come to see George Whitefield preach and hear the gospel. And I can't give you the good without giving you the bad. George Whitefield was a slave owner, and he was a proponent of that at the behest of John Wesley. Or is that the right word? That's the wrong word. No, he did not want. John Wesley was fully against it, and Whitefield did not follow that thing. So it kind of just goes to show you that
the times,
but not just the times, but like people are fallen. They're sinful, and we can fall into that.
I heard a great quote that fits to that we should never forget that the best of men are still men at best.
Yeah.
And that just, again, you can go back to Martin Luther, the founder of the Reformation, was also complete anti-Semite. So like there's a checkered history, and that's a part of it.
That's not to say that we should throw out the baby with the bathwater. George Whitefield brought many people to Christ.
What I like about Whitefield, if I could jump in there, is that so with the apostles, we have missionaries going to foreign places, right? But people got to realize, like, George Whitefield was a missionary to his own kin, just in a different place.
And just kind of bring that home to me, not just my home state, but like my family's been in Georgia for a long time. So I guarantee you I had some kin back then that would have heard George Whitefield speak.
Amazing.
Here in Georgia.
Well, before you get to the last of the three here, before you get to number 8, let me give you guys just, if you're interested in learning more about George Whitefield, there is kind of the number one full, complete examination of the life of George Whitefield, written by Arnold Dallimore. It's a 2-volume set. It's titled The Life and Times of the Great Evangelist of the 18th Century. Again, it's 2 volumes. It's very academic, but it's like, you want to know about George Whitefield? That's where you go. If you're like, I don't want to know that much about George Whitefield, but I like a taste. 1972, John Pollock wrote George Whitefield and the Great Awakening. And so it's a small book, but gives you a good taste. And there's quite a bit of like George Whitefield's sermons, personal journaling included in that book as well. So missionary number 8.
All right, let's move it on to number 8.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bringing it into more modern times, Jim Elliot. You're probably thinking to yourself, I've heard that name before.
Jimbo.
Don't know where it's from.
His buddies call him Jimbo.
That's right.
We don't know that for sure.
We don't, but
yeah.
I would have.
Yeah, I would have too.
You've probably seen
Slimmy Jim.
You've probably
Might have been
seen
a nickname.
You've probably seen the movie Gates of Splendor or Into the Spear. It's the most recent movie that's based on this story.
His wife is very famous. That's Elizabeth Elliot, but you're focusing on Jimbo.
Jim Elliot. And the reason why
Can we call him Jimbo?
Let's call him Jimbo.
Okay.
All right. So Jimbo.
I wish we could have changed the graphic right then where it said Jimbo. That would have been great.
All right. So Jimbo, he was a. I can't do it. Anyway,
okay. Same with Jim Elliot.
He was an American missionary. And before I get started, I just want to shout out to my American fellow citizens. We are the number one right now, and we have been for a while the number one sender of missionaries in the world. So like us or hate us, we put a lot of money and effort and personnel into mission.
It's the church. Field. We're the Church of Philadelphia, and the 7 letters to the churches, the sending church.
Probably
the missionary church, yeah.
And so he was, and this is coming from an anthropological standpoint for me, is
big words,
right? I'm just trying to use some big words before we get into Creighton's.
No, I understand.
Creighton's thing.
Yeah. Small words.
And so he was sent to the Huarani people, or
man, you get that one out.
Aka people.
Man, you get those words out well.
Yeah. So I guess I could call them Native American people of Central and South America. in Ecuador. He went down there. He was focused on them. They were an isolated tribe, and so it started out. He would drop some stuff by airplane, gifts and stuff like that. And in January 3rd of 1956, he landed on a sandbar in the middle of a river, and he was trying to contact them with the purposes of presenting the gospel to them, and they killed him.
Him and several others, right?
Yeah. And if you've never seen End of the Spear, which is the most recent one of this, or Gates of Splendor, there's also another movie which I had never seen, Shadow of the Almighty. It's a story of this, but I think it's so cool to see this aspect of somebody that's willing to go talk to people about this, knowing that there's a possibility of
it was a strong possibility.
Strong
These were
possibility.
Uncontacted, hostile group
right.
of people.
And initial friendly contact, they killed him anyway. And I think if you go back later on, because his wife and his I want to say his daughter or son continued to go back there, and eventually the whole tribe was saved.
Well, that's the story, is because of the first contact.
Right.
Elizabeth Elliot, his wife, was able to continue the ministry in her in her husband's name, and she went and was actually able to bring the gospel. Like, his death created a way
right
where they could have life, which is such a cool thing.
And forgiveness from that.
Yeah.
And that's the coolest thing when you listen to the story of
Jim Elliot's a boss.
The tribal elder there that was part of that killing. Like, his repentance from that was big.
Yeah.
And it just kind of opened it up. I mean, he was only 28 when he died, and
That's crazy, isn't it?
And
he had a wife with kids, and
wife
he
with
went
kids.
yeah, wow.
And one of his journals, and I just thought this was cool. Famous quote: "He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose."
Wow.
And as someone that's been to different countries and met different missionaries and stuff like that, like, this just kind of sets the stage for the mission life in general. Like, the missionaries, the vast majority of missionaries that are out there doing good work, doing what the Lord's called to them, they know the risks, they know what they're there for, and they're willing to go to that end.
Well, let me give two quick books if you want to. There's several movies, great movies. Again, this was recent enough that, like, theatrically, like, there's some really good. You can learn a lot about Jim and Elizabeth Elliot. Through the Gates of Splendor is a book that was written by Elizabeth Elliot, which tells the story, the whole story. There's also a lesser known book, but I think is equally powerful, and it's the Journals of Jim Elliot. It was edited by his wife Elizabeth, but you can actually read the journaling of Jim Elliot, which is, again, if you're interested in this stuff, would be wonderful. So, quick recap, and then a swig of hot sauce, and we're moving back to tattoos.
No, hot sauce is only done at the beginning.
Oh, it's only done at the beginning?
Only done at the beginning.
Oh, is it? Okay.
This is what I.
All right, that's what it is.
The Lord, God wills it.
God wills it. So let it be written.
Number 10.
So let it be done.
Number 10, the Apostles.
Number 10.
Number 9, George Whitefield.
Number 9.
And number 8 is Jim Elliot. Or Jimbo.
Number 8, Jimbo. Which we'll meet in heaven. He'll be like, don't ever call me Jimbo again. Or he might love it.
He might love it.
He might love it.
Did they use the word Jimbo back in the 50s?
I have no idea.
As
I
like
would
a
say
nickname?
so. Have
I
you
would
not
think
seen,
so.
Back to the Future? I'm going to say, like, Marty McFly and Jimbo McGee.
Yeah, but that was done in, like,
I have literally no
80s.
idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
We got to ask anybody that's in from that time period, 50s, let us know. Was Jimbo a thing back then?
Was Jimbo a thing? Yeah, okay. All right, I want to get to the yes.
So speaking of both
Jimbo?
tattoos and the 50s,
Okay.
we have 2 comments from Frank.
Sweet.
In response to my rant early in the show, he said 10 points for Creighton, which is both a Harry Potter reference and a compliment, so I love that.
I actually think we need a scoreboard.
I think that's a great idea.
Like a whiteboard scoreboard.
Like we're right over the Outlaw Radio sign back
Can we
there?
do a show on
Right
the
back
evils
there?
of Harry Potter?
I love it.
No, he cannot.
We'll add that to the list.
Okay.
He also said that Frank wants a swallow tattoo. Like the, not Navy, but the sailor bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool.
I can
like
see-
that
You
idea.
could give it to him.
I could see
I cannot
Frank
give it
more
to
with
him.
like a like some kind of pirate tattoo.
I mean, Swallow was pretty close. Swallow's very mariner. Pirate would be more like a swallow with an eye patch.
That's a great transition, Creighton. Thanks, Pope C.
I'm here for you.
History of tattoos. Let me get into some history. Because, like, I don't know if you're aware of this, like, tattoos are not a new thing.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. And, like, and the whole, you know, your background, early's hard to say because there's, like the earliest corpses, like frozen corpses that we found, like of
Otzi?
Otzi.
yes.
Oopsie.
Like, I think he had 60 tattoos on him.
Yeah.
Like tattooing has been around since man could stick himself with something. I mean, that's the truth of it. I would say profoundly, like, in its broadest cultural sense, ancient Egypt, is probably where we see it most predominant earliest, because within Egyptian culture, tattooing was very much about depicting deities.
Yeah, there was this one on one of the Egyptian mummies that they found,
Which
in
is
the
also
Tomb of
why
the
we know
Kings.
about that, because we have a lot of the mummification.
It was like a heart with the Egyptian like mom symbol in the middle of it.
That can't be true.
With an arrow through it. Yeah. Also, if you go back to early times, Mesopotamia, interesting, and the difference though, same time period. In Egypt, it was more about depicting like deities. There was superstition about your protection. You know, it was a cultural norm. In Mesopotamia, like more Babylon, that part of the world, it was more of a mechanism of marking slaves. And so it was significant in that context, which is a completely different thing. So in one culture, it's very much like you had pharaohs with tats, but in a different culture of the same time period, it was used to indicate slaves, slave owners, things of that nature. Same kind of a concept within Asia. I mean, you go back to early Chinese dynasties, there's tattooing that carried over into Japan. There are certain contexts where it's got a negative connotation, but there are other contexts, like within Japan, that it's more of the identification to ethnicity, to particular lineage. Like, again, there's been tattooing since the beginning for all different kinds of reasons within different cultures. I would say, so, like, you know where we get the word tattoo? Like, where that word comes from? Anybody? Justin?
Tattoo
No idea.
sounds kind of like Irish, maybe.
Nope, not even close.
No.
Tattoon.
Tattoon.
T-A-T-A-U.
Oh,
is
I was
Polynesia.
thinking-
Polynesia.
Yeah,
really.
Polynesia, or I was thinking Hawaii or Polynesia.
So Polynesian culture, that's where we actually get the term tattoo from.
big into tattoos over there.
But different than like other cultures, maybe even more similar to like Egypt. Like, again, no context, like no overlap. But like in Polynesian cultures, tattoos signified lineage, family heritage, spiritual protection, status. Like, there was not a negative connotation in Polynesian culture to tattooing. Interesting that in like Rome. So I mean, like, we could go into all kinds of different cultures, whatnot. But Rome, the word that was used in Roman culture for tattoo was stigmata, which is actually an interesting thing. And in Roman culture, citizens of Rome. Now there's nothing that codifies it being illegal in Roman culture to have tattoos. Roman citizens did not. Like in Rome, like warriors, nobody had tats, because generally speaking, within Roman society, tattoos were reserved to indicate slaves, of which the Roman Empire was massive. But they would also brand people with tats regarding crime, so that you would know. It's like the origins of like the teardrop tattoos. Like, it was a way to indicate, like, hey, you've been found guilty of this crime, and we want to visibly let everybody know that you're guilty of this. But because there was that within Roman culture, which controlled the world, this like demonstrable negative connotation to tattooing, that kind of got adopted. And that got adopted for a long time. I'm going to get into the transition that happens within Constantine, because so the church merged with the state, 313, the Edict of Milan, and what ends up happening at that point is that you ended up with like pilgrimages to Jerusalem. I'm going to convolute a few things. A lot of different things happening. Largely in Western culture because of the increase of Christianity. Like tattooing becomes very relegated to a minority, like in Western culture. But if you were, and this can be traced to Christian populations that are ultimately invaded by the Muslims. This can be traced to the Crusaders. This can also be traced to, generally within all of this Dark Age time period, pilgrims, those that took pilgrimages, that tattooing ended up having a very specific, so there was still like the outcast population, but like there was a very religious connotation to tattooing. A great example of this is the Razouk tattoo shop. So I didn't know about this at all until I was studying for this. So the Razouk family started tattooing in Egypt in the 14th century. And what they were doing is that they were known as, it was like their tattoos, and they were stamp tattoos. So they'd take a stamp with ink and they'd put it on your skin, and then they would take that, and that was the blueprint by which they would do it on the wrist. But the idea behind this is that it was a certificate of pilgrimage. So if you had made your way from Europe to make a pilgrimage, whether you're a crusader or for religious purposes, to Jerusalem, you would get a tattoo of indication that you would actually, it's like a passport stamp, so to speak, that you had actually gone, and these particular markers indicated that. In areas of Muslim domination, these particular tattoos would also be used for secret entry into underground churches. So like it would be crosses, the ichthus was a normal thing, like the Christian fish. The Razouk tattoo shop operated since the 14th century in Egypt. It's been in operation since 1750. So you brought up George Whitefield. George Whitefield, before the Revolutionary War, in Georgia preaching the gospel, the Razouk tattoo shop is in operation in Jerusalem near the Jaffa Gate. 28 generations to this day. Like you can Google it. It's a whole thing. They're still in operation.
I wish I would have noticed that place while the many times I've been to Jerusalem.
I've been there. I didn't know it either.
I never noticed it there.
Dude, group tattoo
Not
trip?
once.
It's the oldest tattoo parlor. Like it's the oldest continuous tattoo family ever. And like as far as parlors go in Jerusalem, again, we're talking 1750. The shop's been in operation. And like you can Google this, the Razouk tattoo parlor, the whole thing. It is very
the
interesting.
tattoo parlor is older than our country.
And it's the same family. They're on the 28th generation. Like you can see the father, and now his sons are. The father's the 27th. The sons are now the 28th.
That's wild.
Which is absolutely wild. You can read all about it. But again, the point is like during the Middle Ages, you could tattooing was frowned upon in Western society, with the exception of religious purposes related to pilgrimage. And in areas of Christian persecution, it would give indication of access to underground churches, which is a super cool idea, which I had no idea about. But there's a deep, deep thing to this, which to me is really, really, really interesting. Again, in Western culture by large, because of the interpretation of Leviticus 19:28, which we'll get to in a few minutes, tattooing fell out of style within mainstream, main society, Europe, with the exception of marginalized groups, and notably sailors. And why sailors? Well, sailors were a marginalized group, so they were often criminals. They were outcasts of society. They were drunkards. but they also traveled. So like James Cook, who went to the Polynesian, like the Hawaiian Islands, all his guys, they were tattooed because that was a cultural thing. So you had these sailors going to India where tattooing's a normal thing, or China, tattooing's a normal thing. So you ended up with sailors within the British Empire that would be tattooed, nautical people with nautical backgrounds, because they were being exposed to various areas where that was kind of a thing. That makes sense?
That reminds me,
Yeah.
we have another thing from Frank. The swallow is apparently the tattoo you get if you have crossed the equator as a mariner. Or as a sailor.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I wonder, the skull and crossbones, I wonder where that originates.
If you've crossed death, I would guess.
If you cross death. So tattooing is for generations, with the exception of these religious connotations. Criminals, drug addicts, sailors mainly.
Outcasts.
Outcasts.
Hey, yeah.
Okay, I see. That was a good one. So, as this progresses, as this develops, the other part of tattooing that was difficult is like the process was time-consuming and painful. Like Creighton, can you speak to that, because you know more of that process than I do?
Tattoos hurt a lot. They honestly, they suck to get. So most of my tattoos I did myself, which through a process called stick and poke, which is just single needle, which prior to the invention of electricity would have, that's the way they're all done. They hurt a little bit less, but if you go for like a machine tattoo, it feels like someone's drawing on you with fire. Like they have like a hot nib that they're just drawing. Stick and pokes hurt a little bit less, but they're still very uncomfortable. It's like getting your blood drawn 400 times in an hour.
And it takes time.
Oh, yeah.
Like
A couple of hours. Like
So-
a couple of hours for a regular tattoo.
the
yeah,
big
easy.
change in the tattoo world, like if you're looking at this from a broad spectrum, actually occurs in the year 1891. Take a guess.
Mechanical tattoo pen.
Samuel O'Reilly invented the electric tattoo machine.
And
1891.
That is way earlier than I would have guessed.
And I'm guessing he was Irish.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, O'Reilly.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it stays mainly though.
O'Reilly.
It stays mainly fringe, countercultural, nautical, until another character enters the fray, a guy by the name of Lyle Tuttle. So Lyle Tuttle, in the 50s, he opened a shop. Nobody really cared. He opened a shop, the North Beach of San Francisco. But then you get to the 1960s, and what he ended up doing is like, so tattooing up into that point was largely black, white, simplistic. He brought in hard lines and color and incorporated it into really the hippie revolution. Like, in fact, he was the first person to do the wrist tattoo and do a heart over the chest. You know who it was? Janis Joplin.
Gotcha.
Lyle-
This is the origination of the American traditional style,
Yes.
which is one of the biggest styles of tattooing if you're not into tattoos. It's
So, and that was
huge.
Lyle Tuttle.
Tuttle is a weird name.
Lyle is my son's middle name.
It sure is.
Quincy Lyle Adams. But that was in the 1960s. He did famously Janis Joplin. He did Cher. He did tattoos for the Grateful Dead. He died, I think, not too long ago. Like, I mean, he was kind of like brought tattooing from like this really fringe thing into mainstream pop culture, and he gets credited for that, which is a very interesting thing. Which is now like, again, we've gone through the stats, things have changed. We're in a whole different world now. I want to get to the biblical angle of all this. I want to lay out, I think, some guidelines, which I think is important regarding tattooing. But before we do that, I want to transition very quickly to
What's the science of tattooing?
the
I
science.
see what you're doing there because we're transitioning to ifs.
Ooh, I like that. The science, intersecting faith and science with Pope C. So this is your like you've invited feedback, so we'll provide some feedback. But before I finish up the conversation about tattoos, quick little segment. The intersecting of faith and science
He needs a jingle.
with Pope C. Like,
Yeah,
bells
jingle's
or
a great idea. So today I'd like to talk about the on the origin of species, which is the name of the book that Charles Darwin wrote.
Never heard of it.
It is really important that most of the time when people talk about the book, they would just say the origin of species, which we'll get to at the end why it's important. The name of the book is not the origin of species; it's on the origin of species.
Interesting. Okay.
So, for those of you who don't know, there's a guy named Charles Darwin. He was not a sailor. He was a naturalist.
Not a sailor.
He was
had
a
no
naturalist who sailed around the world in the 1830s. So he sailed, I think, the whole world around. And he spent a lot of time in a place called the Galapagos Islands, which are just off the north coast of South America. And the fun thing about islands is that, especially if they are remote in terms of the people around them, if people cannot move between islands, then animals cannot move between islands. So you get places like Hawaii, Australia, New Zealand, where you have a lot of endemic species, and the species have more space to get weird, which is why you have the tortoises, the finches that we're going to talk about. Things get weird, which is why you have kangaroos and I was trying to think of another Australian marmots. I don't know.
Wallaby.
Wallaby. That was the word I was thinking.
Koalas.
Wallabies,
Koala
koalas.
bears.
You get weird things if you don't have mainland predators like in the Galapagos. So one of the things that Darwin is noticing as he's traveling around the Galapagos Islands is he's seeing a bunch of finches that are all relatively similar, but have specific and distinct beak shapes that allow them to do different things. And he hypothesized that nature would selectively breed. We talk about eugenics. This is the natural version of that, which comes to be known as natural selection. That nature would selectively breed for finches that are better at getting food than other finches. So you have a population of finches that mostly feed on grubs and berries. And one of them is born that has a slightly larger beak that allows it to crack open clams. It will then be able to propagate its genetics better than other finches because it can eat clams and berries and worms, right? So it is able to propagate. And
We're tracking. Yes.
yes. So you have these finches that the larger beaked finches can eat more foods than the smaller beaked finches. So these finches would then breed more than their smaller beaked compatriots, and thus their descendants would have larger beaks overall. And given enough time, that would then develop into a separate species of finches that have larger beaks and now only eat the larger food. Does that track?
Pterodactyls.
No.
Okay.
Okay. In a big way, no. We'll get there. So what Darwin wasn't able to see is everything going on a molecular level. Because Darwin was traveling the Galapagos in the 1830s. We have so much more knowledge now than Darwin did then.
Microscopes.
Right. So the first microscope was made in like the 15 or 1600s. And the first cells were discovered by a guy named Robert Hooke in the 1600s. He was able to see the cells of cork bark in like his microscope. He could see that there were cells, and he called them cells because the little
Why was he looking at
things.
cork?
I have no idea why he was
Was he
looking
a big
at cork.
drinker?
Probably he was a monk.
No, okay. Oh, that makes sense.
He was a monk.
See,
So they had
you should
lots
have
of
led,
cork.
You should have led with that.
So they had
That
cork
brings it
because he
more
was a
into
monk.
understanding to
and
most people.
he had a microscope, and I don't know if you've ever owned a microscope, but at some point you're going to just start shoving things under the microscope to see what you can see, because microscopes are awesome.
Did you know like your iPhone and stuff has like microscope
I've seen people make like macro lenses out of them.
Yeah.
I really want to start trying how to do that. Anyway, so he is looking at cork bark under his microscope, and he is able to see the plant cells, and he can't see into them. He can't see what they are, but he can see them, and he calls them cells because they remind him of the rooms in his monastery, which were little boxes, and they called them cells in the monastery. So we
That's the origin of the word cell?
That's the origin of the
Wow.
word cells.
That's
it's from
cool.
a monastery where that's what they called the rooms, and he saw
Interesting.
them, and they reminded him of the rooms.
What year was this?
That was the 1600s. I don't have a specific. I probably could have looked it up. 1600s.
It's a lot later than I was expecting.
Dude, we discover everything way later than you think. We didn't have germ theory until the mid 1900s or something.
That's
like
'cause you
way later
that's
than you
Dude,
would
we
all
think.
didn't have
sicknesses-
Facebook since 07.
Yeah. So the first cells are seen in the 1600s. The living living breathing cells aren't discovered until the 1700s by a different guy, because obviously. And at that point, we can only see them at the point that like they are able to see the cells and they're able to see that they're moving. They can basically see the cells the same way that you can see cars on a highway from like the helicopter view. Like you can see the cars. You can't tell what's inside of them. You can't tell how they work. So all of that comes. We don't get to actually see what's inside a cell until the 1930s, which is where we're able to see all of the complex things inside of a cell, all of the organelles, all of that kind of stuff. And this is where we come to Darwin's black box.
So we're sorry to interrupt, but it just occurred to me that Darwin was looking for good genes.
Yes, he absolutely.
Full circle.
Yes.
That was great.
He absolutely was.
Yes.
Looking for good genes.
Nice. Hey, that's a fist bump. Thank you.
That's pretty good. So Darwin sees these finches. He sees them changing. The question is, how do they come about? And Darwin actually says, when he comes up with this natural selection idea, that his hypothesis would fall apart if the things inside of the cell were not able to be created through gradual processes.
Basically, that the smaller they got, the more simplistic they were.
The smaller they got, the more simplistic they got. What we find in the 1930s when we invent electron microscopes and we're able to see inside of a cell is that the inside of a cell is unbelievably complex. For instance, in every one of our cells, there are around 13 different organelles necessary for the working of the cell. It is surrounded by a semi-permeable cell membrane called the cell wall that allows certain things in, but not everything. And this is my favorite thing. So, are you guys aware of how big DNA is? So you know it's a big molecule. It codes for all of the things in your body. I didn't realize it is 3 billion base pairs long, which is, if you think about it, it's basically 3 letters, or a letter per base pair. So it's 3 billion letters long. That is 500 million words. To put that into perspective, the Bible is around 780,000 words. Lord of the Rings is around 570,000 words. And Wheel of Time, the longest single series I've ever read, which is 15 books long, is about 4.4 million words. Every strand of DNA in your body is 500 million words long.
Some good genes.
Some good genes.
And when you look into it, for life to exist, your DNA has to be replicated a few trillion times a day, which requires an army of proteins and organelles to do. Because every time your cells divide, it has to replicate your entire genome and then propagate that into the next cell. So I had a whole lot of stuff. We're trying to move quickly. The more you look into each cell, the more complex it gets. There are things like flagella and cilia, which are the tails on things. The most famous flagella is that of a human sperm cell. You know, the big thing that...
Also great genes.
Yes. So those, if you look into them, now that we have all of the advanced science we can look into the structure of flagella. They are ridiculously complex structures that require a great deal of coding.
That we can't even physically replicate.
No, not
Hardware,
the size,
yeah.
for
No.
certain
No.
not. So here is the thing about on the origin of species, because it is on the origin of species, because Darwin was not trying to explain the origins of life, because evolution cannot explain the origins of life. DNA, RNA, we're not going to get to it. There's a whole idea of the RNA world, which is
These
life
are all
arising
multiple
from RNA.
episodes of ifs.
I didn't realize that.
You're figuring this out.
Yes, we're working on how this is all going to work out. There's a thing called RNA world where people have tried to come up with an idea that RNA could arise by itself.
You went back there.
And
We
it
can
is
deal with that.
Crazy.
Intersect faith and science with Darwin's black box in its simplistic way.
Evolution is not a basis for the origins of life. Atheists talk about it like it is. They want us to believe that evolution is the nail in the creationist coffin. That they have this idea of evolution, that it explains how we got here, how all of this works.
Wrong.
And it just absolutely isn't. Evolution cannot explain the origins of life. For evolution to work, you have to have life. Evolution, natural selection are mechanisms by which life changes, but it is absolutely not an origin of life. It never was supposed to be.
Right.
It has just grown into that because they want to put a nail in the Christian coffin, and it isn't that thing that they want it to be.
It's an explanation for microevolution, but not macroevolution.
But not macroevolution, and
'Cause
not
because-
specifically the origins of life. We
Because
can't
again,
have-
the origins of life require, like, the scientific method doesn't work because no one was there. Like, you can't replicate the origins of life, so it's forensic.
Exactly.
It's a different science. It's forensic science,
looking
and not the
back at
scientific
how
method.
it works,
And what's even when
and you
go-
can't replicate anything.
And when you go further, when they try to replicate stuff,
They
like
can't.
with dark matter and stuff, they find that doesn't work the way they thought it did.
Every experiment that I have researched, where they're like, we're gonna make we're gonna make a thing that is like the way it would have been, 10 billion years ago or whatever, fails to create the thing that they're trying to create. We have never been able to create any form of self-replicating DNA or RNA because evolution does not explain the origins of life, and they do not have a good explanation why.
You know what that reminds me of?
Tattoos.
Good genes.
Tattoos. Tattoos. Creighton was right there.
That was
Tattoos.
That was a good intersection of faith and science.
It
there.
was excellent. It was excellent.
I appreciate it.
Let's get back to the topic of tattoos, and I want to look at two passages of scripture, and I want to break this down from the Christian perspective. Like, what does God have to say? How should we be processing this as Christians? And I really, there are a lot of different ways you could go, but I'm gonna pinpoint two passages of scripture that I think are brought up more often than not with the topic. The first is 1 Corinthians 6, verses 19 and 20. This is a famous passage where it says that your body is the temple of the living God. Like that we are the temple of the living God. You. And you'll hear people say, and I've heard it said, like, how would you feel if, like, there was graffiti on the side of the church building? And thus you shouldn't get tattoos because you're the temple of the living God. And how dare God, like, there be graffiti on the side of God's temple? Okay. That's not what this is articulating. However, there is a principle that is being articulated that is relevant. So, like, let's get away from the nonsense. I mean, your body's going to be decayed and decrepit and in a grave at some point. Still the temple of the living God. Like, this is something deeper that's being articulated. You're like, well, I want to make sure there's plenty of room for Jesus, so I'm going to get fat. So it's a bigger temple. Like, if we want to take this, like, super literal, like, don't work out and be skinny because there's not enough room for Jesus. Get fat so there's a lot of room. Like, again, that's nonsense. It's nonsense. But there is a principle being articulated that's relevant. And that is the fact that you, all of you, mind, body, soul, the trichotomy that makes up you, is not yours. It's God's. Meaning that how you treat your health is a spiritual issue. That you should take care of yourself. Now, yes, working out can be idolatry, can be its own god, but like you should take care of you. Like you should. It's not yours. It's the Lord's. That's the principle at play. And so you should be healthy. You be healthy and still die. That's fine. That's God's decision. But there's a component, like what you wear. Does it matter? Well, it matters only in the context that you are not yours. You're God's. So like you want to wear some offensive t-shirt, you don't represent just you. You represent God. So that's important. Like these are things that factor in. Yes, God cares about the inward man, not the outward man. But again, you're the temple of the living God. So like this principle applies to a lot of things. And that also includes, I think, piercings or tattoos, which we'll get to. But like, I want to establish a principle. You are not yours. You're God's. You represent God. You represent Jesus. Every part of you. The trichotomy, mind, body, and soul. All of it. For the sake of time, we don't have time, but Leviticus 19, verse 28 is very specific. I'll flip there. Again, within the law, within the law of behavior, you shall not make any cutting in your flesh for the dead, nor tattoo any marks on you. I am the Lord. Now, this is like you read the context. It's also about how you trim your beard, what you do with a lot of other things. And people make the argument, well, we're not under the law. Jesus liberated us from the law. True. All that's true. And for the sake of time, we can't get deep into that. Except for, what does this tell us in principle? So, 1 Corinthians 6 tells us that you're not your own. That you have to consider when you're dealing with your body, God. How you present yourself physically reflects God. Like, you are not your own. Like, I want to take care of myself because it's a reflection on high. That's important. Like, it should be considered. By the way, side point, and we'll get to this when we get to reasons, is like, yes, your body's the temple of the living God. If you're married, your body's not your own. The Bible is very clear. Your body's your spouse's. So what your body does or looks like it's not yours. Like it's hers or his. But when you get to Leviticus, yeah, we're free from the law. But, and practically, applicationally, we're speaking of pagan practices within the culture. Tattooing markings, physical markings were expressions of pagan worship. Practically, this exhortation is about refusal of pagan worship. It's about cultural distinction, which, again, tell us more than anything, practically, principle, reasons matter. So, if you're thinking about tattoos, biblically, I guess 3 ideas. 1, your body's God's. You're a reflection of God. You should consider that. If you're married, your body's not your own, so your wife's opinion matters. So, like, if you're overweight, not taking care of yourself, and your wife's not digging that, if you need motivation to go to the gym, it's your wife's body. Now, she likes a little cushion. Picked a good woman. 3rd, Creighton's rolling his eyes a bit. 3rd, reasons behind things matter. Occult, pagan practices, cultural distinction. God cares about the reasons we do things. And that's the core idea of the Levitical aspects of kosher law, clean, unclean, etc. So practically, like applying this, we look at tattoos. Well, I think if you want to get a tattoo, you should filter that through those principles. Is God, like, you should think, is God okay with it? Is God edified by it? Is God honored by it? Is God glorified by it? Is this okay with God? Now, that's a very subjective thing. That's between you and God. I'm not going to get in the middle of that. If you're married, you need to also consider what your wife thinks about it. If she's cool with it, fine. If she's not, no. Maybe she doesn't want a big picture of your ex-wife on your arm, or her face. Or maybe she doesn't want your kid's face because when she's making love to you, she doesn't want to see her child. I don't know. But you should consider it's not your body anymore. It's your wife's body. You're like, well, this is artistic expression. It's not your body. It's not your canvas to express. It's hers. That's a biblical principle that you should keep into consideration. What does God think? What does your spouse think? And then what's your reason? Because reasons matter. I want to put up the photo real quick, Creighton, if you can grab it. So the advertisement we threw out to advertise today's show. I want to go ahead and throw that. And this is kind of like an AI filtered of a real photo. So I took this off of a buddy of mine's Facebook, and it's 022899. That's actually his forearm. That's actually a tattoo. Again, it's gone through several AI filters for creative purposes, but it's February 28th, 1999. And this is a tattoo that signifies when he gave his life to Jesus and when Jesus changed him from being a drug addict and liberated him from a bondage of sin, changed his world, set a whole new trajectory. That is the new man in Christ Jesus. You can take the picture off. I get that. Like forever, he's got that on his forearm to remind himself. His wife is cool with it. She's got no problems with it. But that is a memento. There are again, when you're gonna get a tattoo, you need to think, what does God think? And that's reverencing God. That's a monument, an Ebenezer. God would instruct the children of Israel to set up tattoos all over the land, to be acts of remembrance of certain things that were important. And can there be any greater, easier way to remind yourself of things than your own flesh? But you need to think. What does God think? It's I'm his temple. What does my wife think? And in the end, reason. I've known so many people that did things for artistic expression that lived to regret it. If you're like, no, man, this temple needs a cool papered wall, go for it. Again, the Bible doesn't give us laws for these things, but the Bible does establish principles. You need to get a tattoo because that's entrance into the secret church. I don't think Jesus is going to matter all that much. I don't think he's going to care. It's a good reason. You're trying to be countercultural or rebellious. Is that really the expression Jesus is wanting you to have? Again, if you're going to get a tattoo, the 3 criteria. Think, does this honor God? Let him weigh on it. If you're married, what does your wife think? Don't do it if your wife doesn't want you to. And third is the reason. Because from God's perspective, reasons matter. If there's no reason, you're like, I'm just bored. Tattooing is very addictive. Again, there's all kinds of stats on that, from pain to this, that, and the other. Why? Why are you doing it? Because God actually does care about the why behind the decisions we make. So before we wrap it up, any final thoughts from you two guys?
I can attest that tattoos are addictive. They feel terrible, but they release endorphins. I don't know what it is exactly. And also Ryan commented that the pain during the tattoo isn't bad. It's the healing that sucks, which is also true because they take forever. But you still, at the end of it, you're like, I can get another tattoo. Right. I can do it again.
My point, the application of this, does that make sense? Okay, you get your whole self tatted up. I don't think Jesus cares unless he cares.
Unless he cares. I mean, I think that tattoos fall into, I think they're the epitome of the heart issue. If you're getting a tattoo for a stupid reason or a sinful reason, then your tattoo is stupid and or sinful.
And again, consider that you're the temple of the living God.
Right.
matters.
And there are tattoos that I've seen on people where I'm like, oh, I would never put that on my body, but it means something to them. So like some of that is, your own deal.
And if they're good with the Lord, then that matters.
Then,
That's
yeah,
okay.
Then it's cool. Spice Dad, you got anything?
I don't have any tattoos. Don't really have an opinion on them. I mean, I feel like most tattoos are for other people to notice you or notice something.
Which would be the wrong reason.
Which would be the wrong reason. But like at my size, I'm noticeable. So I have no desire to do anything that's going to cause other people. And I don't like really being noticed. So,
You're already noticeable
I'm
enough.
already noticeable enough. So I don't want to do anything that's making people notice me more. That's my opinion on it. And I mean, I'm not to say that's other people's stuff, but that's just how I look at it. So.
Pope C, final words, and then let's get out of here.
We've got a comment from Sarah about the ifs, and that is I had a biology professor in college who made sure to highlight often that this can't just happen while looking at kinesen transfer and walk its cargo. It is God's creation. If you don't know what she's talking about, Google kinesen, Kinesin. It is one of the most ridiculous things that God has created. It literally it's a protein that walks up. It's a protein that walks proteins through a cell. It's ridiculous looking. It's unbelievable.
So that specific thing, which would take you maybe 3 minutes to discuss, would be a great ifs.
Okay. I'm now understanding.
You're going
the
very,
size.
very broad, and you
We
should
want to get a little bit narrower on it.
3 to 5 minutes versus
All right.
like you went.
We should do a top 10.
You went all Darwin's Black
I don't know
Box.
how I would do a top 10.
Michael Behay wrote a whole book about Darwin's Black
That's your
Box, and
job,
you're going
not
to
mine.
compress that into
But
4.
we now
Okay,
have a
so-
theme song that I got Grok to write for.
Oh, you've got a theme song?
This
Yeah.
is the most ridiculous thing in the
Oh
world.
yeah, for Creighton Vaughn, the science mon.
Is it Jamaican? Please let it be
Yes, it is
reggae.
Jamaican.
It is. Well, I'll
You
show you
show it to me
afterwards.
later.
Okay, you're not.
We'll release the album on Spotify.
So this would be
later.
Creighton Vaughn, the Science
Science
Mon.
Mon.
That might be the whole new segment.
That's right.
It's brought to you by Creighton Vaughn, the Science Mon.
I prefer Pope Creighton to Creighton Vaughn, the Science Mon,
No,
because I am not Islander at all.
You might be a Jamaican Pope. You
Oh.
keep that hairstyle going.
Once you
Jamaican
read the song that Grok wrote with my prompts, it'll change
Okay.
it.
All right, it's 9:20.
I'm
Wrap
with
us
you.
up, Zachary.
All right, hit some music. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the episode. We had fun. We're going to do this whether you watch or not because we have a good time. And we're brothers that love Jesus and love each other, and it's sweet. Miss you, Vinny. See you in a few weeks. If you're watching, check out the podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. If you're listening, check out the live stream. OutlawRadio.live is our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, share, pass it on, put it up on a billboard. Let people know if you like it. Goes a long way to helping the algorithm find us. With all that being said, may you have a wonderful week. God bless. We'll see you guys 8 o'clock next Wednesday.